It's like we know that there's a different yardstick for the different developers.
Right.
The Nintendo guys are great. I've got my Switch right here in case I want to play Fortnite.
Yep.
So, I mean, those guys are great. I talked to Reggie the other day. The guys over at PlayStation, they're executing. They've had tremendous success this time around. But, it's funny, with us, I think it's maybe because, I don't know. So I think people like, I hate Windows because I have to use it at work, or I'm doing email, or I don't want to do this PowerPoint for work. So I don't know if some of that anxiety and whatnot drifts over to Xbox. But, we just want to do the best we can for games. Well,
yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me once again. So we got a new video, and I hate having to go around this in circles because we keep coming back to this sort of subject. But do you believe in the Xbox tax or an anti-Xbox agenda by the media? So that's sort of the question that's going to be put out, and I'm going to present the facts. So I personally believe there is an agenda against Xbox, and you may not believe it. So that's why what I'm going to do is put the facts on screen, and then together we can decide, and I'm going to use it recently there was the Game of the Year awards nominations, and I think that more so highlights sort of the media bias for Sony and against Xbox. So what I'm going to do is let's just get on with this. I'm going to present the facts and put the stuff on the screen so you can all see it, and then there's no questions, and then you can make up your minds from that. So let's go. So first, let's establish if there's a pro-PS agenda. So sort of the media sort of favouring PlayStation and the like over other products. So what we've got here, recently, IGN done a review of the PlayStation Portal. It's like a little handheld device, much like the Steam, but PlayStation's version of it. This is the opinion the IGN guy gave of the Portal, which is a small opinion of it. He does continue, but let me just play this clip for you.
I packed it up and took it to Dunkin' Donuts, which, as a New Englander, I am required by law to visit at least once per month. I'd hoped to test its performance on public Wi-Fi, but this was a total bust. Dunkin', like many chains, airports, libraries, hotels, and other locations offering guest Wi-Fi, requires you to visit a website and acknowledge its terms of service before allowing you onto their network. And the Portal has no web browser to allow such an interaction. That is a huge bummer, because pretty much any place you'd want to use it outside your house is going to require that initial login.
Yeah, so basically you can't use the PS Portal pretty much in most places except your house or any Wi-Fi that wouldn't require you to log in anywhere. So it's crap. It's complete crap. And he does highlight some other really crappy points. So you'd think from this that he's going to give it a bad score. That's what you'd reckon. That would be the logical conclusion from all this. But sadly, he gave it an 8 out of 10. An 8 for a device that you pretty much can't use anywhere. Oh, and you also have to have a PS5. So you can't. This device costs £200. You can't just play on its own and play games on it as a standalone device. You need the PlayStation 5. So you need to spend an additional £500 to buy a PlayStation 5 and the games. So, we're looking at £700 at least just to be able just to play this device, which you can only use in your own house. He gives that an 8 and calls it great. Now, just in comparison, IGN gave the Steam Deck a 7 out of 10. So they think the PlayStation Portable is better than the Steam Deck, which is practically what the Portal should do, or should be able to do. The Steam Deck does everything you need it to do, but yet they gave the Portal a higher score, despite the stats clearly being in favour on paper in the way of the Steam Deck over the PlayStation Portal. No reality should the Portal even be that high in a score, let alone better than the Steam Deck. It makes no sense other than possibly the agenda that we're covering here. Just looking at general advertising in the UK by media, there just seems to be a lot of promotion for PlayStation, but none or hardly any for the Xbox. It's just they're pushing PlayStation 5s, the consoles, and the news. I mean, I've seen in previous videos what I've shown about Metro and stuff like that, various papers, various media news outlets that just seem to publish positive news about PlayStation, but negative news, anti-Xbox news, basically. They can't... Actually, Digital Foundry, who's a Digital Foundry? Here's something John Lindemann said regarding the Xbox. It's a hypothetical situation for shit's sake. You read into everything like there is a hidden meaning. I do not like what Microsoft has brought to the industry and think we'd be better off if they had never entered it. I can throw that aside when writing and present thoughts free of my dislike for them. However, but reading into it as I actually prefer the Xbox, pure madness. There we have it. He dislikes Xbox and dislikes Microsoft. But apparently he can put that aside when making opinions, and so can all the others that claim or say they hate Xbox and Microsoft. Even Metro said that Sony should buy them and they want Xbox to leave the market, but claim they can put all that aside. Are we supposed to believe that? Anyway, these are the people that put their opinions forward for things like Metacritic scores and Game of the Year nominations. So in the 10 to 11 years that Jeff Keighley's taken over the Game of the Year awards, Xbox has had no Game of the Year nominations. None. They've had... by this, what I mean is exclusives. They have had multiplats, games that are also on PlayStation 5, but not exclusive to the Xbox. And this is, I think, the agenda that I think some people are missing out, because people keep saying, like, there's no first-party games put forward to Game of the Year nominations. There are, but only the ones that are multiplat, only the ones that are also on PlayStation 5. The games that are kept off PlayStation 5 are not being nominated. Only the ones that are on PlayStation 5 seem to get nominated, and they're very far and few between. Even Xbox first-party games that are on PlayStation 5 but not Xbox are getting nominated, and they probably don't even deserve it. As an example, Deathloop was nominated in 2021 for a Game of the Year award, and it was PlayStation 5 exclusive when it launched. However, Halo Infinite wasn't, and I believe they scored the same on Metacritic. So they scored the same. Halo is much highly praised and still going on this day and doing very well for itself now. It's picking up. Deathloop, however, just wasn't that great a game. Yet that was nominated over Halo Infinite, I'm sorry. Outer Worlds 1 and Psychonauts 2 were also nominated Game of the Year, but they were on PlayStation. So I guess they're allowed to be. So that's that. And I think they might have been nominated before Xbox bought the studios. But anyway, they were multiplat and they were nominated for Game of the Year. So that's 3 first-party Xbox games. However, none of them are exclusive to the Xbox platform, and there doesn't seem to be any exclusive Xbox games, regardless of score, nominated for Game of the Year nominations. Even games like Forza. And I can't understand the narrative that Forza Horizon games are not allowed to be voted Game of the Year because they're racers. They're literally a game. It's a game. This is Game of the Year. This is the best game of the year. And if Forza Horizon, for example, scored the highest score in that year, ergo, it should be Game of the Year. It's a game. It's a ridiculous argument that, yeah, but it's a racer, it doesn't count. What do you mean it doesn't count because it's a racer? Oh, Spider-Man doesn't count because you're Spider-Man, because you're a superhero. Can't have superhero games. You can't have Japanese games in there. Why are we creating weird agendas just to suit narratives? It's a game. Any game should be able to be voted for Game of the Year. It's the best game of that year. So we're going to skip a lot of these nominations, especially these sports stuffs, because it's boring and dull. Nobody really gives a shit. I don't know why it's there. It's just because I think someone's being paid off, Jeff, to present them, and they're probably paying a lot of money into the whole thing. Except the coach, best esports coach. There we have it. The nominations was best esports coach. This guy, one of the coaches, come forward and said he's not a coach. He wasn't a coach that year. Please take him off the list. One of the indie developers also come out on the best indie games nominations and said, we're not an indie, can you take us off the list? So that alone just gives you an idea of how badly these are put together, how misinformed these people are. And at the end of the day, these are just media people just running this. It's just a popularity contest run by the media that are not gamers and have no clue of anything they're doing. They're just probably picking names that they see that are popular at the time and just writing them down. That'll do. Oh, someone's mentioned him, I'll put him on there. There doesn't seem to be any fault going into any of this process. So let's just give you an idea of what we're working with before we continue. So let's start with these nominations. So let's start with best multiplayer. Why is COD not on there? Why is Call of Duty not on there? It's the most played sort of multiplayer game sort of on the platforms at the moment, sort of save probably for Fortnite. So why is that not an option on there? In fact, best multiplayer, why is Fortnite not on there? Baldur's Gate 3, Baldur's Gate 3 you wouldn't consider a multiplayer game whatsoever. Probably not Super Mario either. And if you got Street Fighter 6 on there and you consider that a multiplayer game, why is Mortal Kombat not on there? So that's what I mean, there don't seem to be any rationale going to any of these decisions. It just purely must be, I don't know, the favouritism of the media at the time or something. There's actually something behind it. I'm unsure of their decisions when it comes to these. But it's adaptation, that's games that are made into movies. This was recently created because Sony are now pushing movies and TV from games. So now they've created a category specifically sort of for Sony, basically. It's just like the VR. There's now a VR category which didn't used to be there. They created that for Sony because Sony's pushing VR now. So basically the awards created 2 categories solely for just Sony. Brilliant. Most anticipated game. Xbox has got a load of games releasing next year. Hellblade 2, a Valve, Midnight Game. They've got various games releasing next year, but apparently none of them anticipated. Nobody cares for them, which is exceptionally odd, especially Hellblade 2, the amount of coverage that's getting and the hype around that game. But yet, nothing, nada. But people excited for Hades 2 or another annual Like the Dragon game. Really? That's what people are excited for, are they? Final Fantasy Rebirth, a PlayStation exclusive. I haven't seen any talk on Hades 2, I'm sorry. First game was okay, it was great. There is no hype around Hades 2 because there's just not. I don't know, once again, I don't know where these categories come from and these options. I don't know. This is the problem. They said they've got 120 people that decide these things. But Jeff doesn't tell you who they are. There is no inkling who these people are. They don't say who they are. It's weird. And then, especially when you review Metacritic, and the majority of people that review PC and Xbox games, it's only around 60, 70 people review their games on Metacritic. So when there's 120 people giving their decision who they want to be nominated for these awards, but only 70 are sort of playing Xbox games, you got to wonder where's that difference going? You know, because PlayStation games do get 120 plus, so do Nintendo. And oddly enough, they get nominated every year. Even Nintendo, PlayStation get nominated every year. Xbox don't. Is there really a wonder why? Let's move on to some more categories. This one I find fun. Best performance. So these are the voice actors. The Spider-Man 2. Nobody likes the voices in that game. Nobody. I'm not sure why Spider-Man 2 has even got a nomination. There's nothing against Spider-Man 2. I just know people don't like the voices in it. I've not heard anyone say a good thing about the character voices in it and performances in it. So I don't understand. I'm confused. But we know Idris Elba's going to win it because we know he's going to come out on stage because Jeff likes to flex someone famous on stage. So he's going to give that to Idris Elba just for a reason to get Idris Elba on stage. I'm saying it now. I'm just putting more cards on the table. That's what I believe is going to happen. Idris Elba's going to win that just so he can have Idris Elba on set. So now we come to best community support. Right, okay. So why is Cyberpunk on there? Cyberpunk basically... Well, I suppose you could put it on there because people did complain about the game. They wanted it to get fixed because it launched broken. So I suppose it did get fixed, but it kind of had to do it. It wasn't really the community. Destiny 2. Now, this is the odd one because Baldur's Gate 3 should be on there because it was basically early access and the community built the game, basically. No Man's Sky's on there every year. I don't know why. They just have to keep rewarding No Man's Sky something. The weird thing here is why Halo's not on there. Halo's clearly been snubbed over Destiny 2. Destiny 2 should not be on there. The community hate the game. The community are leaving the game in droves. The community complained about the game. They can't stand the way it is at the moment, and they're leaving the game. The game's just basically collapsing. So they just sacked a load of people. Bungie just sacked a load of people. So why is Destiny on there? They're just, other than obviously the obvious that now Sony own Destiny and it's now a first party product, why is Destiny on there? Why is Halo Infinite on there, which is a perfect example of community support? The game has got better through the community complaints, community pushing into the game. Forge is literally a mode created by the community which they've added in, which has made the game a lot better. Why is Halo Infinite on there? It's other than it being a first-party Xbox exclusive, I can't think of another reason why. Can you? I'd love to hear it. And while you're writing that comment, explain why best ongoing game Halo's not on there. Neither is Sea of Thieves, neither is Grounded, neither is any Xbox exclusive first-party games are on that list. Tell me why Cyberpunk's on there. I can't think why. It's basically DLC. Are we putting DLC on there now on this list? Halo is continuously being updated annually, and earlier that every 3 months or so, thanks to the community. Sea of Thieves continuously getting updates and DLC free. They get about 3 or 4 updates a year. Grounded as well. So many even Forza's continuously getting new DLC, new updates, new changes, just new free stuff every year. But none of them on this list. We have a game like Cyberpunk on here, which just releases a DLC. That's it. The rest of it is just you can see now. They got Genshin Impact, which is exclusive to PlayStation. That's on there, and so is Final Fantasy exclusive to PlayStation. That's on there. So it's something clearly. If you can't see an agenda yet that Xbox games are clearly being snubbed here, then I don't know what to tell you. Because let's move on to the next topic. Or category, I should say. Oh, by the way, Rare did come out and question why they're just being overlooked continuously. And I think Obsidian also said something why Grounded's been overlooked. So they both come out. So did the Modern Warfare 3 devs also recently come out about their scoring and why they're being snubbed and stuff. But I'll go into that towards the end. So, sound. Right, this is a weird one. Right, why Starfield? Starfield snubbed throughout the whole, most of it, you see. I'll talk about snubbing. If nobody believes there's an agenda, why is Hogwarts on none of this list, on nothing? Why has it completely been shunned? Why is it on nothing? If there is no agenda, if you can recognise there is an agenda against Hogwarts, then you've got to recognise there are agendas and political themes in this thing, and they do have an effect, and people and games are dropped or put on there depending on people's opinions and agendas and politics. You've got to accept that if you're going to accept that Hogwarts is off there because of that reason. So, ergo, there is an agenda against Xbox. So let's go on to sound. Right, so I don't know why Spider-Man's on there for best audio design. Amazing, great. I think the sound done that was the sound design team done the sounds for that. Whereas the London Orchestra, London Orchestra did the music for Starfield. Fantastic music. You listen to it. They even create a massive audio tape. Didn't get a nomination. Amazing, incredible. Super. That's a super snub. That is to the London Orchestra that created the sound for Starfield. Oh, and many of you might go, yeah, but ratings hold a big part of this. Metacritic ratings. It's all to do with Metacritic ratings, yada yada yada. So here's a quick question for you all. 2 games here. Which of these? I would like you to answer this for me in the comments below. Which of these 2 games was voted? Or it was given a nomination for Game of the Year, and which of them wasn't? I'm going to leave that one to you. So let's go on to the next category. Listen, best game direction. It's going to sound like I've got hatred against Spider-Man. I've not. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. I've got comics. I've got signed autographed comics by the artists, which I've shown to people. I can always prove it if you need that from me. Best game direction, Spider-Man 2. No. Firstly, it's probably the worst Spider-Man out of the recent 3 by Insomniac. It's a lazy, just copy-paste. It's full of bugs. It's got the most issues out of all their games. It's you can't play Venom. You can't play open world Venom. You only play Venom for about 15 minutes. Can't even play them open world. The MJ missions are just horrible. The side missions are just bland and copy, rinse, repeat. They're things like pull this truck away from this building before it explodes. Now do it again. Now add the missions of that, or save this guy. Now take him to hospital. It's just the same rinse, repeat. The game direction. There is no game direction. It's just 2018 Spider-Man with a new story basically and some new villains. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing there. Oh, and you play Miles Morales, which he did in his own standalone game anyway. There's not even co-op in it. Why did they not put co-op in this game? Why did they not put co-op in this game? It's lazy. So game direction, no. I'm sorry. No, Spider-Man should be on there. But let's get on to game of the year. Spider-Man 2, yeah, shouldn't be on there for the exact reasons I've just given. Baldur's Gate 3 should definitely be on there. I've not played it yet. Can't wait to play it. Right, well, Alan Wake 2, I'm not sure it should be on there. I've not played it. I'm hearing very mixed feelings about it. Also, this is the thing about this, the cut-off time. Should it be nominated? Because there's a cut-off. Because apparently Halo Infinite wasn't nominated because it didn't make the cut-off time. And nor did Forza Horizon 5. Both rated very well, but apparently didn't make the cut-off time. But what's weird about this, especially this year, is they nominated the game a week before the cut-off happened. So they'd already shown the nominations, but the cut-off wasn't done yet. So if a new game was nominated, would they have changed the nominations and gone, actually, we've changed our minds. These games are nominated now. It makes no sense. It's almost as if they just, I don't know. You can see what I mean. Can you imagine making a nomination for a game of the year and other categories, but not the cut-off, not ending yet for another week? It just makes no sense. It's like they almost... Well, it is like they already made the decision before they cut off. They've already made their mind up. Alan Wake 2, and Resident Evil 4, it's a remake. No. Right, okay, let's get on to Resident Evil 4. Actually, no, let me first cover Super Mario Brothers. I've not played in a game. Legend of Zelda, I don't think it should be on there. Many people are saying Super Mario should be on there. Legend of Zelda, it's basically the last game. It's basically the last game. I don't really like sequels being on there. I like this really to be reserved for new IPs and stuff like that. I don't like sequels being on there unless they really pushed the boat out and made a massive difference. For example, Spider-Man, if they'd made it co-op and done a load of other stuff to it. But no, just they shouldn't put sequels on here, in my personal opinion. Baldur's Gate 3 should be on there because there's a massive gap between them. But Legend of Zelda, I just don't see much of an improvement on the last game. But let's get on to Resident Evil 4, and this is my problem with remakes. You shouldn't have remakes, remasters. They have their own category. My concern here, I've got two concerns. One is they're putting it on there because they're setting a precedent for upcoming games by PlayStation. PlayStation's now light on first party as it was this year. It only had Spider-Man, and Resident Evil was a PlayStation exclusive. It only had Spider-Man. Next year, Wolverine's been delayed. It's got no real first party that could be nominated. But they're going to release remasters and remakes next year. So they already tell us that those games are going to be nominated because Resident Evil was nominated. So now they're going to, going forward, allow remasters and remakes to be nominated for Game of the Year because PlayStation simply hasn't got anything else to be nominated for Game of the Year. And they don't think they can cope with not having a first-party game nominated for a year. This is my concern here, that it's already, the writing's already on the wall for that. Also, people that say Resident Evil 4 remake, it's a completely different game from the last game. It's Cap. You're lying. These PlayStation fanboys, I should say, are all claiming that Resident Evil Remake 4 is a completely different game. A completely different game. These are the same people that claim Starfield is just Fallout in space, when they literally are different games. That's the definition of different game. They are literally different games. Resident Evil 4 Remake is not a different game. And when you say, I mean, you could argue that it's a different game, but it's not a completely different game. It's different in the sense that they've updated the graphics and updated some of the combat and mechanics and that to keep it up to times, because it's an old game, to keep it up to date with sort of modern games and the way things and the graphics and stuff like that. But as far that's about it, and they've sort of re-imaged some of it and stuff like that, and changed some of the scenarios, some of it because probably dated, doesn't look as good, and they've probably thought. But the rest of it's the same. The story's the same. Everything's the same. Best way I can do it is show you a clip. Here's a clip of both games. You're about to see which is which, but you're also about to see that they're the same game.
Excuse me. Sir? I was wondering if you might recognize a girl in this photograph?
¿Qué carajo estás haciendo aquí? ¡Lárgate, cabrón!
Sorry to have bothered you.
Freeze! I said freeze! Oh, Señor Templo, protege nuestras almas.
Sorry to barge in like this. Busco a un policía. ¿Vino aquí?
Viviremos contigo por siempre, porque en los
Ta-da! And there we have it. They are not completely different games. They are, by no stretch of the imagination, completely different games at all. And if they believe they are completely different games, then they've either not played the games, or they are absolutely delusional, and that is the evidence of their delusion. If the game looked like this, then you could argue that it is a completely different game, and it is better and deserves a Game of the Year award if it looked like this.
I'd like a tasting.
all my wares are in tip-top shape, I assume.
Need something robust, precise.
Yep, I'm disappointed it doesn't look like that as well, because that looks vastly better than the remake. Let's be honest here, it does. That would deserve a Game of the Year award. So there we have it. I've presented the facts. I'd love to hear your opinions down below. So as I was saying earlier, the Modern Warfare lot were kicking back, questioning the score. People were questioning the score over why it scored so low, when it's clearly the campaign isn't as good, but it is better than previous campaigns, and there's the length, it's no longer, or not much shorter than previous games, The multiplayer's success, they've reported the success of it. It's doing fantastically well. It's actually doing better. More people playing this campaign than the previous campaigns. They've already clocked there's more players playing it and for more hours. And also the multiplayer is bigger than the previous multiplayer on various other games. They've posted that on Twitter. So, yes, they've reported the game is a success. They can't grasp why there is such a low score for the game. And they even state, as I'm showing here, that they've even questioned the whole Xbox tax thing and is it a real thing, and they can't think of a logical reason why it would score so low other than that, because they, just like Bethesda, where all their games scored high, they got Game of the Year nominations, got countless nominations, suddenly Xbox owns Bethesda, Starfield completely snubbed. Lowest, and they even come out and said it's the lowest game ever by Bethesda. Same for COD, lowest scored COD ever. Despite, I mean, we've all played COD. Some of them are awful. Ghosts did it for me. Switched you straight off Call of Duty. Awful game. Multiplayer was awful. But apparently this one is the worst in the history. Out of all the games you could pick up at any point, you could have made a statement about Call of Duty. They're rinse repeat. They're getting dry. How we've had them annually, but now they decided to do it on this game once Xbox own them. And as I said, we've already seen their outcry over Xbox own ABK, especially from IGN, saying there will be repercussions of them owning ABK. They said it themselves. So down in the comments below, I'd love to hear your thoughts, what your opinion is on the whole thing. Is it Xbox tax, or is it just PlayStation positive news, or are these games really that bad all of a sudden? Let me hear your opinions down below. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for being a subscriber if you are one. If you're not, please subscribe. It really helps the channel. Drop a comment down below. Please like, share, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.